All right, so welcome back to the final video of this set of tutorials. And I just want to clean up one last thing. I want to make it so that the user can burn through our cutscene and have it still look pretty decently put together. So right now when you just hit the return key repeatedly, you see how Bob is sort of just like awkwardly around the screen. I mean, it still works, but see, it crashes though. When I hit the return key, it crashed actually, because probably what happened was I went so quickly it equaled 16 maybe. Let me take a look here and see. No, we've got our code here that says if it's, as long as it's less than or equal to 15, then do it. So that's not the case. But nonetheless, it still burned through, I think, so quickly we messed something up here in terms of our timers. Maybe we got stuck in a timer. All right, so how are we going to do this? Well, remember, there's a link between our timers and our dialog count, right? So let's look at this first one, for example. This serves two purposes, this timer. One, aesthetically, it moves Bob down the screen, which gives him kind of life, right? But also functionally, it moves Bob to the position that we need him to be in order for this to make sense. You know, Bob should be looking at Jane when he starts the dialogue with her. So what we're going to do is we're going to steal from our timers and place the important positions and animations into the next exchange, so that even if you burn through this, Bob will still end up in the correct position and the correct animation in the next exchange. So this happens when dialog count is equal to 0. Where does he need to be by the time the user reaches 1? Well, a couple of things we've got to take from this one, right? We need to change the position of Bob, but let's actually do that first. So Bob needs to be on the same plane, y plane, as Jane. I'm going to add that bit of code here, and now I'm going to go to options, common actions for all objects and position, and I'm going to change the y position of Bob here and make it equal to Jane's, which is variable, a scene variable, Jane Waldorf dot position y. Okay, let's move this up. I want this to happen first. Now, if you're looking at this, if the user lets this run, then this here becomes redundant. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm fine with it. A little bit of redundancy for the sake of the user I think is fine, as long as it just doesn't get out of hand. All right, what else needs to happen? We actually need this bit of code. It's important because remember, we have two ways of really knowing Bob's position on the screen. We've got the Y position that's attached to every object on a screen, and we've got our global variable Bob position Y that we can use to reference that position as well. So we need to keep those equal. So let's paste that bit of code in too, and let's move it down, and we don't want it to happen first. We want Bob to go to this position and then equal out these together. What else do we need at the end here? We need to change the direction of Bob. Let's paste that in. And Bob needs to be facing Jane, so that is 0. That's good. And we want to change the animation so Bob is no longer just sitting there blinking. So 0 to the current animation. All right, good. That'll work. Let's close up this timer and open up this one here and see this is at dialog count 3. And the purpose of this is to rotate Bob's head toward Henry. Okay, so now since we're dealing with 3 here, we got to make our changes in 4 down here. So what needs to happen? Well, we want to change our animation in 4. Let's paste it, right? I'm going to let the show layer dialog happen here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take that here just so we keep consistency here. We set the animation, that's fine, to idle Bob. We need the direction to change now, right? So let's steal this code. Bob should be facing Henry by 4. So let's do equals 180 is to the left. So we'll do that. All right. That should take care of this one here. Okay, what's our next one? This is out of order. Let's move this up here. Now he's going to move back toward Jane, which means again we need the direction to change. And since this is happening in 7, we need to change 8. And paste that in and say the direction needs to equal 0, which is facing to the right. All right, what else do we need from this one here? Let's set our animation in 8 to idle Bob. Let's steal our show dialog here and put that into 8 as well. And I think that's it for that one. And our last one here, this is happening at 10. We need to change our direction in 11. Let's paste it in, and now he's facing Henry again, which is equal to 180. What else do we need here? Good, we've got that. We need to set our animation. Paste, set animation, and we want to show the layer. Now I do want to see if this hiccups a little bit here. Let's paste it. All right. And I believe that's all we need to do. So let's go ahead and run a quick preview here and see how we did. All right. Let's hit the return key right away. Good. 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 All right. So the last thing that I want to do is I want to make it so that we'll start our scene theme music once this cutscene ends. And I'm going to do that by going to our kingdom here and utilizing this part here. However, be forewarned. Remember that GDevelop constantly runs through this code, right? So in other words, 2 is always going to be 2, right? Always. So if you just try to put your sound in here, it will just repeat and keep going. So what we need to do is put in a sub condition here that says trigger once, right? Let's just trigger it once while true. And here is where we're going to put in our little kingdom scene music, right? Now I want to use play a music file because that is for the longer files here. And I've got a little scene music that I created with Beatbox and where are we here? That I used with Beatbox and then just compiling in Audacity. So let's go to music, scene themes. You can see all the different kind of, I made a little cymbal thing, a drum thing, a saxophone, right, that kind of thing in order to make this main theme here, which again I just compiled in Audacity. So I do want this to repeat, right? I want it when it's done to keep playing. All right, so if we did this correctly, it should start as soon as we burn through our cutscene. there we go. You can barely hear it, but that's all right. And now we are officially in our kingdom. Just having fun. All right, so what's happening next? Well, what's happening next is we've got to, let me shut this down for a second. We're finally going to get to probably the place where everybody wanted to go. Most, enthusiastic game producers love two things about games. They love inventory and the battle. Which is why I spend a lot of tedious time just showing how to do the other things as well, right? Because all the stuff that we've done so far, it's all important, it all matters. But the next set of tutorials, we're going to actually start engaging in some kind of battle and talking about the battle engines that we can use. All right, I'll see you next time. One quick note here: if you're exporting your project here, let me open the project manager. If you're going to export this project, what you need to do is you need to move main back up to the top here, right? Because when you export the project as the way it is now with Basic Kingdom at the top, you see that it has no idea what to do with this information because it never loaded the load game. Those variables we set up. So you've got to move this back to the top so that it becomes, the first thing that actually loads up on the screen. So let's go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and save this now actually. All right, that way when we export it, it will run main first. So you can go ahead and check out The Adventures of Sassy Bob at the following link, and it'll be all nice and set up and ready to go. It's averagejoegdeveloper.itch.io, The Adventures of Sassy Bob. All right, I'll see you in the next tutorial.